Hello students, welcome to lecture number 15. So here I am Raglan Roy from James Polytechnic College. Here I am going to take this video is upon the COM port and its working. We will study previously we have seen about the serial ports and USB ports. In this video we are going to see about the COM ports. Let's see what are the COM ports. In this picture that we are seeing that COM ports is like I will show you. This is a COM port. This sometimes serial ports also called communication ports. Shortly it is called COM port, and they are bidirectional. Bidirectional communication allow each device to receive the data as well as to transmit it. Means it can send the data and also it can receive a data. The communication port bidirectional communication that do it. Serial devices use different pins to receive and transmit data. Using the same pin would be limit communication to half duplex. Means serial devices that normally use different pins, means one pin can receive data and one pin will transmit the data. If it will use the same pin, it will limit that communication of the device to half duplex. I will explain you about half duplex and full duplex. That meaning that information could only travel in one direction at a time. In serial port it will happen like that. Using different pins allows for full duplex communication in which information can travel in both directions at once. It is serial port only, but it can communicate in both directions using different pins. That is the use of communication port, that is COM port. Now we will see about the what is half duplex and what is full duplex, what actually it means. So Uh, we will see about the first we will see about the half duplex, how it will work and what is meant by full duplex. So in half duplex, if we take two systems are there and that two systems are connected to each other with one LAN, that system have to communicate with each other. So how it will communicate? So in half duplex, the system that is connected, that is transfer a data one system to another at a time, means it can only communicate in one direction at a time. Means one computer sending a data to a second computer, that time the second computer will have to receive. After that only the second computer will able to transfer a data to a first computer. So the direction of the communication will be in one direction at a time. When the data is reached to the second point, then only from the second point the data will be transferred to the first point. So uh, in this picture we can say that the data is flowing from one computer to another and from the next computer to the first computer. The data flow in one direction. First the data is coming from the computer A and is going to the computer B. After reaching there, the computer B data is going to the computer A data. So the communication is only in one direction at a time. It cannot be in two directional. So in half duplex, the communication only be in one direction. So we can say that we can take an example of a walkie-talkie. So when we use a walkie-talkie, we will press and it will send the data, and when we release, it will receive the data. It will receive the voice. Like that only the half duplex works. It will communicate from only in one direction. So how the walkie-talkie work? That is the example of half duplex. When we press the button, it will send the voice data, and when we release the button, it will receive the data. Like that only. So now we will see about the full duplex. What is full duplex? The two computers have to communicate with, send the data among them. It will be happen in two directional. Means at the same time, both the computer can communicate with each other. Communication in both direction at the same time. Means it has separate path, but the both computer A and computer B can transfer their data at the same time to each other. So it is called full duplex. In example, we can take our using telephone, that we are using telephone or mobile phone. It is a good example of full duplex. When we talk to connect to another telephone, that the both side voice is coming at the same time. So this is an example of full duplex. It will communicate with both side, send the data at the same time to both side. So in this animation, we can understand that in half duplex, the in this traffic, it has a half duplex lane having a single line, and the vehicles are moving in one directional. When the one from left side the vehicle is coming, then right side it is not coming. When the left side vehicle is reached to the right side, then the right side vehicle is going to the left side. So here only one directional path is going on. When the from two directional the data is coming, it is collapsed, it have accident. So there is a use of a cop that is called CSMA and CD, that will control the traffic of the data communication if some error or collapse will be happen. But in full duplex, in lower part, we are saving full duplex have two lanes, separate lanes for different direction, like our highways have. So in one directional, in upper layer, it is going one directional from left to right. In down, it is going right to left. So it is freely can communicate with both sides without any traffic. So here it doesn't need a traffic cop like CSMA and CD, because it is independent route for a particular lane or from particular direction of communication. So it is free to communicate. So now, when we see about the COM port, all computers our computer operating system in use today supports serial port because serial ports have been around for decades because it is very old. Parallel ports are a more recent invention and are more faster than a serial port. And USB ports are only a few years old and will likely replace both serial and parallel ports completely over the next several years. Now upgradation is coming on, so we are commonly using nowadays that the universal serial bus, that is USB serial ports and parallel ports. Parallel ports are modern, came after the serial ports. Serial ports are slower and parallel ports are faster than a serial ports, but uh, it has different ports and slot, but USB replacing these two ports in nowadays. So the name serials comes from the fact that the serial port serializes the data. Means serializes data means one bypass is arrange the data in a sequence to communicate or to pass through the route. Okay, so it serializes data in a sequence to communicate or to send the data to its destination. So equating a COM port to USB is like comparing one apple to a fruit basket. A COM port implements one end of RS-232 connection, which is a point-to-point interface. Means a COM port means point to point. Point to point means it have only one point to point. It have pins, in separate pins. It can transfer a particular pin can communicate with that particular address only. USB is a bus just like PCI, to which you can attach numerous devices, multiple devices to the bus. And PCI is an internal bus, whereas USB is external and hot pluggable. PCI is internal bus means inbuilt motherboard slot or bus that communicate between the internal components of the motherboard. But whereas USB is an external, USB normally we are using to connect the external devices, peripheral devices. So it is called external port and hot pluggable. Hot pluggable means just we connect it and it will access automatically. It not need to configure or install any driver or a separate configuration or setting. It automatically detect a hot plug. So it is called hot pluggable. A traditional COM port normally implemented RS-32, which is rather simple serial protocol that, according to the Wikipedia article, dates back to 1969. It can be implemented using relatively simple logic that suited technology of the time. Downside, this is a note that I am giving you the overview that downside are that it operates at the relatively low speed and the protocol has no concept of identifying a device and its capabilities. So for example, if you had a RS-232 printer, you need to let the software side know both the kind of printer connected and the baud rate of the attached device. So COM port, we understand that uh, COM port is serial port, sometimes called serial port is also called the COM port, communication port, because both do a communication process in the computer. So for a certain application, COM ports are still useful, but mostly in niche cases. For example, it is possible to build a simple and cheap PIC microcontroller program using a COM port. In some, the port isn't actually used for RS-32. The control signal are manipulated in non-standard ways, as such as it is not possible to use a USB to RS-32 adapter because of non-standard use. Because USB is a standard and RS-32 is a pins having, so we can't use, it's not possible to use both at the same adapter because it is not a standard use. because serial port, COM port having multiple pins, and it is multiple pins to connect. There we communicate with each devices. Multiple means pins for separate function. It has a separate pins, and for USB it have a bus. It will bus concept that will know it has a single road. In this, the it will use the address data to communicate with the devices. So we can see here that some other COM port example, that the USB to, there are some adapters come with 9 pins COM port that is convertible to the USB. We can use to connect it to the if you have a COM port, yeah, COM port compatible printer, then you can converter like that. USB to RS232 adapter is there in market, and also there are PCIe card with 9 pin COM port additional. If we want to add extension slot for COM port, that we have PCI card, and PCI card with two 9 pin COM port means upper having the single one 9 pin COM port, and it is having two 9 pin COM ports for connecting two devices. ISA card with 125 pin COM port means it is having 25 pin COM port. Normally that for communication it will use 9 pin, but sometimes it will come with the that is called ISA card, industrial standard architecture card, which comes with 25 pins COM port. So this is a card that is to connect the COM port devices to the system. So today we see about the COM port. What we have seen about that, the use of COM port, the types of COM port, that what actually the COM port uses to communicate. Thank you.